Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester. Panhandle Outdoors, your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Winston Chester. Glad to hear this morning. Got a big show lined up, as always. But first, our weather brought to us by Haney Technical Center at the corner of Baldwin and Highway 77. See where they named that aeronautical where they work on the planes and all, the aeronautical wing over there for one of the guys that founded it. We'll try to get him on the show and all. They did a good job with that. And that's a well-run program. So if you want to get a job in any kind of airlines or anything, you can start at Haney. So that's interesting. Now, high today is 78, low tonight 48. We've got about a 30 degree swing, so it's going to be a big movement there. 68 degrees of water temperature, and it's leveled it off for about the past week or so between 67 and 68. River readings, take a look at that. Apalachicola at Bluntstown, 5.7, and it's looking really good. And the Choctawhatchee at Caryville is a 6.1, and both of those rivers are in good shape. Now, the Choctawhatchee is starting to go up, so it's going up for the weekend. If you want some rising water, a lot of folks like to catfish and all on rising water up in those sloughs and everything, so it's going to be a good time to go catfishing on the Choctawhatchee River. This 2-week Christmas break, we get a lot of folks do a lot of different outdoor things, not just, hunt all. I used to hunt every day, but now over the years I've learned to just do a little bit of hunting, a little bit of fishing, and it's just a great time to be outdoors. So keep that in mind, and trot lining is something good. Let's take a look at our tide chart brought to us by Kent. And I'm sorry, river readings, I left that off, brought to us by Watson's Landing Marine and Dry Storage. Tide brought to us by Kent Forest Lawn Funeral Home, and here on 23rd Street. High tide at 12:30 this morning, and a low tide at 10:19 later on tonight. But there's not a lot of movement going into the weekend. We talked about this yesterday, so not a lot of flow there. Marine forecast coming out of the south. It is just, we've had some strong winds blowing in warm. So this time of year now, we're getting ready for these winter storms. I anticipate some good strong winter storms. Everybody's complaining about how hot it is. If you, excuse me, I can remember missing a lot of hunting days because it's been too hot in December. By the word, don't do much. Let's take a break. I'll be right back. All right, welcome back. I'm tickled when I found this picture and all this. It's fascinating, how the society changes on the views of so many different things. And I've got this picture. Someone ran it from 1955 from the Sears Roebuck catalog, and check a look at it. This is a 1955 ad. And now, would that be politically correct today? They'd run out of town if you put a picture. Look how happy that family is. That gives a great reflection of what was going on in the 50s and the 60s when it came to how Americans felt about guns. I mean, it was part of the family. I mean, you'd go out there and the kids had BB guns and that little over and under. I mean, look at the guns on there, over and under, BB gun, and look at rifles. So that's covered all three of them. So I just got tickled when I saw that, and that was only 60 years ago. It wasn't that long ago. So fascinating. Our next picture here. Let's go up to modern times. Former student, 19-year-old Brody Cullen, a nice redfish from the jetties. Great thing about that now, you can go out to the jetties and you don't have to have a boat or anything. You get on those rocks and then get that outgoing tide, and you can catch you a redfish. It may take a little bit of time, but you may do it right away. Don't keep them. Don't keep the big redfish. Take a picture of them and let them go. So a good job, Brody Cullen. Now I got to skip down a couple more pictures. We'll talk about the black drum. The black drum has been one of the hottest fish around. Late summer we started talking about it, and all through the fall. This is out at North Lagoon, off Grand Lagoon. This is Marie Kelly's 21-inch black drum off her dock. You see the dock, and you see the condos in the background, so you can see it's North Lagoon. And now something that size, 21 inches, that'd be something good to eat. Now it's not I get tickled about some of the people eating black drum now, but they eat all different sizes. But that 20-inch one like that'll be good, and that's a good job. That came off Panama City Fishing page there. Good job, Marie Kelly. All right, now I got that. Now I want to talk also. I got an email asking about the St. Andrew Bay management address and all. We talked about them the other day. Here, I think you can pick it up. If you want to help on water quality testing or any kind of volunteer work, here's their phone number. You think they can see that okay, Jeff? St. Andrew Bay Resource Management Association is just a group of people who volunteer to take water samples once a month. They located, they got a P.O. box now. There's an email on the bottom, SABRMA, at SABRMA, phone number 763-4303. I got a couple of phone calls and emails about people maybe wanting to help out. Here's a picture I ran the other day and show you a young man out there doing it. A lot of fun. Riley Tim's doing that. Okay, so that's the story on that. Now, speaking of stories, I always like to every now and then I tell a story about out of the book and all of it. That especially around Christmas time, because it seems like the outdoors, like I just said earlier, a lot of people doing outdoor stuff around Christmas time, and all kind of fascinating people in the book. So I picked one out last night. I was going to share with you around Christmas time, and this is a Hutchison. This is Judge Ira Hutchison. And I'm going to start with this picture here. This is out of the page. I think it's page 118 or whatever. Judge Hutchison was a fascinating character. He was born in 1879 in Defuniak Springs, and a lot of folks, came in by the water, like the Ware family and the Massolina family. They all came by water. Then the other folks came down by land. So he was one of them, came down by land to settle out in the West Bay, and this was the homestead out there. And a lot of fishermen used that dock and all. And now here they ran a general store, and Captain Roy remembers that general store. That was a Hutchison General Store, and good picture there. Also, he went to law school. Check this out. He went to law school and was a judge. He went to law school in Stetson. Now, can you imagine going from Panama City to Stetson all the way down there around Winter Park? You got to go by wagon or train, and it was just a fascinating trip. Became a judge. They appointed him a judge in 1916. He was a judge all the way to 1948. Now, what I liked about him, he was about 68 years old, which is, back in those days, that's working a pretty long time. He was a judge. He wrote this book, and I've read it. If you want to really, the first history book written here in Bay County was written by Judge Ira Hutchison. It was called Some Who Passed This Way. Just some folksy stories about the folks that came through the area and all. They're really good. Some Who Passed This Way. I don't know if you can find it anywhere or not. It's been out of print forever. Also, I wrote some other notes about him. He was a founder of Panama City. Remember, it was Harrison Community for long, but in 1909 they started voting on it, whether to make it a city called Panama City, and the vote was 32-2, and he was one of the 32 that voted on it. So that's how Panama City. He was one of the founders. And also, the picture I'm going to show you next. Out of all the pictures in the book, this is the most commented picture, and what I'm going to tell you about it is a hunting picture. The only picture about hunting in the whole book. The book's on fishing and all. And I told Gail when I was putting it together, I said, this picture is so fascinating. I think I'm going to put one hunting picture in the book. And it really was a hit. Okay, I'm going to show you two right here. This is it right here. This is, what I want to show it to you now. It was December the 3rd, 1945. Okay, so he went down to he wanted some food for the family for a big cookout and all. So he went down to St. Vincent Island and shot these sandbar deer. And I wish I'd recorded some of the times when we were at Apalachicola Seafood Festival, and Gail made a display of pictures behind me, and I was signing books, and that was one of the pictures. And people would walk by, and I'd see them stop and look and then take a double take of that picture and come running over there. What in the world? Because most people never seen it, that sandbar deer. And most people think, well, it's something modern, but it goes way back. And Judge Hutchison, and I had people buy the book. I mean, a bunch of people buy the book just because of that one picture. They saw the picture, looked it up, and then started thumbing through the book and bought it right there on the spot. So that was a good deal to show that hunting picture. But again, Christmas time, going out in the woods on the water, and taking some game and all, and coming back and cooking it for the big family gathering. It goes back to Judge Ira Hutchison, and he was a gentleman. He also I put in there on the article too. He would take business trips and he'd go fishing, and they wrote about him in Miami Herald. He took a trip down there to Miami and went sail fishing. And a quote out of the paper. I got this out of the paper doing my research. Judge Hutchison from Panama City caught one of the finest sailfish taken in recent years. And he was down there on a business trip. Combining, we think that's something new. Let's go on a business trip, and also let's go fishing. But he's been doing that for years. So folks like that, and he loves salt water and fresh water. A lot of property around here. The Hutchison Park up there at Deer Point Lake. Hutchinson Beach Elementary School. They've donated over the years, donated lands to, to the public and all. Good family, and that's the story of the judge, Ira Hutchinson. And I just thought that was a really neat story I wanted to share with you. And under the Oaks, in town, they moved to Panama City. Right there under the Oaks Park, they were just east of there, the house, and some of the family still lives there. We'll take a break and we'll be right back. Okay, most of y'all know I use my iPad for a lot of stuff, and I'm just really thankful for it, and it helps so much and get information over to you, especially the pictures and information. I was going to run a video on a little minute video on a Python challenge, but we're not getting a signal this morning, so I'll do it later. But don't forget the Python challenge 2016 will be starting January the 16th through February 14th. Got to get a little bit of training, but you can go online and talk about it. But I'll talk about it more later when I got that little minute video to showing that big old Python. They're fascinating. I'm a little tempted. I can't do it this year, but next year, if they do it next year, I may take a look at that. I've just been fascinated with it. So what I wanted to show you, I'm talking about apps. These little programs you get, little applications that you get for your iPad or computer, whatever, and it's really fascinating. It's so many things you can get out there. And I'm not an expert on it, but when I work with 17, 18-year-olds, I sort of have to keep up with them, and they've been really good about helping me on it. That's why. But I talked about knots the other day, and I'm going to show you this before. In the old days, I call them the old days, I would teach them how to do the knot, like I was showing you the other day how to do that knot. But now that you get a couple of programs, some of these programs are free, some of them cost about $3 or $4. But I'm going to show you this one right here. It's called Grog Knots. I'm just going to tap on it, okay, and it pops up just like that, animated knots. On the left side is different categories of knots, all kinds you can use, basic boating. So I'm going to go down to fishing knots, almost halfway down. I'm going to tap on fishing knots. And now when it comes up fishing knots, you see all different kinds. And a blood knot, I've taught you the blood knot a couple of times, and it's a really good knot. So let's just pick out, I'm going to scroll down. We can pick out all kinds of different knots. So let's go to Palomar. That's a really, really popular one right down there, the Palomar knot and or the Rapala. Let's do this one right here. So you just tap on it, and it actually goes through there and shows you step by step. Of course, you can slow it down or run it back and do different things with it, and boom, and tighten it up. And so this one, what people love about this, you just tighten it up, and it's a really good double strength right there. And let's go down to let's do one more. Let's go down to the Rapala, or Rapala, as they call them, and just step through them. Like I say, these little applications, and it's really fascinating how technology has done so much. And I like that knot. That's a good knot. It's very similar to the clinch knot. Okay. It gives you a little bit of loop in that one too. That's when Rapala came up with that. So that is different ways of doing it. And again, you go back to different categories and all, and different ways, and it's fascinating. Also, let me show you this. This is okay. I'll just show you on up here, right below the knots. There are two down there, the gospel. Old Southern Gospel, and I was able to, when my mom we realized she was not going to make it and only had a few hours to live, I just got these apps, there's two of them, and I turned, and I knew she loved old gospel music, so I've got this gospel music, and I actually laid it down on her pillow by her head and played old gospel music, because I wanted that to be some of the last, after I talked to her and told her I loved her, I just wanted that to be some of the last things she heard on earth, and it's some of the old gospel she used to sing. So it was amazing. I just thought about that, but it's amazing what you can do with these things. So fascinating. Another one too. I'll go back to the tide. Let's do one more real quick while I'm working on this. A tide chart. You can, okay. This is just a tide chart, and we'll go back to all different. You can see the chart. You can just punch a day right there showing December 16th. Let's go say what's going to happen on next week sometime. Oh, Christmas Day. We're not going to do anything Christmas Day, but fishing and all, but you see the different tides and all. It tells you how much it's moving and what's doing different ways and all. You can go on back here. So you can actually go down and go to January. Say you're going to take a vacation or the last week of January, and just punch a day right there, and it tells you and all. And that's the tide graph. And also you can if you just want to get the tables for January, you hit the right top tables, and then also the stations they get them from. You can see the different stations that I get here just in the St. Andrew Bay region, West Bay and East Bay, and so I can just touch You see the green one up top I can touch. That's Lynn Haven. So I'm going to touch Lynn Haven, North Bay, and I can get information on exactly what time it's going to be Lynn Haven and North Bay. So it's really, again, these apps are fascinating, and of course a lot of games on here my grandkids play and all, but I just really enjoy doing these apps, and I would recommend them to you if you have an iPhone or anything or iPad. And at first I was reluctant to get an iPad because you know how old people are with technology, but it's been one of the neatest things I've ever had, and I just love doing it. Which leads me to New Year's resolutions. I was going to ask you to send me some of your resolutions and tell me some of the things. You don't have to put your name on it if you don't want to. Just tell me some of the things and you plan on doing in 2016 to be, to enjoy it more and be a better person. I'm a strong believer in resolutions. I've done them all my life, and I just always think you can do a little bit better each time and each year. So I make some resolutions. I get tickled. I look back on some of them. I get some of them are real simple ones, and some of them more complicated. About I think 2 years ago, I was talking to Jeff, and I got an idea from Jeff. He would back into the parking lot when he come here in the morning. He backs into the parking lot. So I'm going to start doing that. So I'm starting to back into a lot of parking spots now. Not all of them. A lot of times it's a situation if I can pull in and pull out one out that way. But a lot of times I'll back in, so I'll just get on out of there. And so little things like that are more. And this year I'm really debating on. I found myself now the downside of these electronics and social media is social media, where you spend too much time. And I'll admit it. I'll make a confession. Lately, within the past 6 months or so, I've just spent too much time on social media. And what it is usually Facebook. Now the great thing about Facebook is that I've been able to keep up with my buddies and girl and boyfriend from high school days that I don't see a lot. Then some of the teachers, as a teacher, some of the kids I taught back in the 70s, 80s, all through here. So it's wonderful to keep up with them. And another thing too, and when people have problems, sometimes they'll put it on there and ask for prayer. And I certainly enjoy doing that, trying to help people out and all kinds of things on fundraisers and all. And then plus on the downside, just a lot of junk on there. Like, oh, guess what I had for lunch today? And so you got to balance it out. So a lot of the pictures I show you come from my Facebook friends sending them to me or to my timeline, and it's fascinating. So what I got to figure out how to still get this good information and cut my time from this to this. I really find, Jeff, you got a solution to it? So that's one of the things I'm going to work on my resolutions. And outdoors, of course, as you know, I'm retiring this year, so I'm going to bring you my list pretty soon and tell you what I'm going to be doing in my 10 resolutions, and it's going to be some interesting, fascinating stuff. So just think, if you got some, just email them to me and all, and we'll read them on the air, okay? We'll take our final break, and we'll be right back. Welcome back. Let's take a look at our fishing game time, brought to us by Mark Coward of Counts Real Estate. Our time 4:43 to 6:43, and this evening 5:09 to 7:09. That time right there. And what I'm working on, and I don't know if I can get it done. Speaking of, we'll try to do this during the commercial break, and I don't know if it's going to work or not. Basically, I was talking about. I wanted to show you all this because I'm very proud of, and very humble by this right here. This Panama City magazine got the former mayor Jerry Clemens on it. And they did there's an article on me in here, and I think, let's see, I think we'll get it, Jeff, if I go to the, but anyway, what the fascinating thing about it is that the article was not, they didn't send somebody out to write about me. They just actually sent someone. It was an English class out of Gulf Coast. One of my former students was asked to the assignment in class. Okay, here it is right here, Jeff. That might show up. The assignment in class was to write about someone you admire. So one of my former students, Jenny Bennett, wrote this article, and there's the first page there. And they just came out and took some pictures while I was in class. And that's a canoe. There's a great story behind it. That canoe, we built that canoe in 1998, strip by strip. The class did, and it still hangs up in the classroom. And then got some more. Here's some pictures. They came out and took some pictures of me talking to my class outdoors by the shed and everything. And most of them interested. Some of them trying to go to sleep. And then this other one is sort of upside down, but that's just some pictures. But what what I was fascinated with, like I say, it was not a it was well done, great magazine. They talk about local people, and it comes out every month. This is November, December issue, but I was honored for them to do it. And when Jenny wrote it, she wrote, like I said, she was writing an English paper for a class out there at Gulf Coast, and a professor liked it so much, she sent it in Panama City Living magazine. So it was not written for the magazine, it was written for a class. And it got back with Jenny, and Jenny's a good writer. The Bennett family, Julian Bennett family, she's, well, Julian would have been her granddaddy. And I was so honored for them to do that. But she wrote a really nice article, and I deeply appreciate it. And if you want some interesting reading and all, or maybe to get the pictures for target practice, whatever, you can do that. But Panama City Living magazine. Now, another thing I was doing last night, we want to change. I was looking up, we were talking the other day about one of the viewers, and also I got another email here. We're talking about non-resident, all this right here, non-resident fees for hunting out of state. It's fascinating as the different ones and all. But let me read this email before I get to that. This email said, hey Coach, very much enjoy your show. The oyster information show regarding seeding the bays, or seeding the bay reefs, was one of the best. It was great information. I have consumed oysters many years, and I've dumped the shells in the driveway, like we all have done that. I did not know any better. Please keep us up on the progress being made for a deposit area for the shells. So we'll certainly do that. Also, he asked, also, what has happened to Cast and Call? The last couple of shows, okay, Cast and Call is not on the air anymore. I don't have time to get into the details. It's a story I need to share with you, and I may get Whitney to come on and talk about it, and it's just one of those situations, but it's not on air anymore, and it's, well, we'll just talk about it. This is from Bo Jones from Southport Sandhills. So Bo, thank you for that email there, and I'm looking at the clock, and I'm not going to have time to get into the non-resident hunting license fees, because there's a lot of stuff there. Fascinating how much they charge out-of-state people and all, but we'll go over. I'll go over next time. Tomorrow now, famous Friday fishing forecast, giving away some seafood, and Brad Stevens is going to be here, so a lot of good stuff tomorrow. So today, you make sure you do something good for your fellow man. Have a great day, and God bless.
Thanks for joining us for Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester. Panhandle Outdoors features hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.